Hey guys, Julian here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make industrial ambient techno in style of SNTS. As usual, you get the full project file and samples and MIDI and presets. All that stuff from this video is available right at the top of the description, and if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there because it's already available. And yeah, let's dive in. This is a loop you heard in the intro. We're at 137 BPM, and the first sound that we have here is the kick, which sounds like this. So this is a pretty straightforward kick. This all starts with this sample here. So just like your standard, you know, very fat, punchy sort of kick you would want to use with this style of techno. And then what's happening here is you can see we have it going into this rumble chain. So what we've got is we have an audio effect rack, and then we just have two chains inside of that. We have a dry chain, and then this rumble chain here. And so for the rumble, the way it's being made is basically, it just starts with this delay. Doing that, and then we put it into the amp, which you can hear, you know, brings out that nice sort of like, you can hear like it's really bringing out the low end in the sound. And then we take this low pass filter, and we get just that nice low end. And there we go, that's how you do it. And then I just have it sidechain to the dry kick, so you can hear it kind of fits in. And then we have this EQ here, which you can hear really helps with the low end. And then it just cuts at 100 hertz, which makes a bit of room for the punch of the kick, because the punch is typically happening at 100 hertz. And yeah, and then after the rumble, I usually like to do some kind of saturation or compression or something like that to really like glue the punch and the rumble together. So here I have this drum bus. Here's without this. And then with it. So you can hear what this is doing, you know, it's really taking that punch and that rumble and not only making both of them fatter, but gluing both of them together and kind of like, you know, just making it sound like one fat, powerful low end. And yeah, that is it for the kick. After that, we have the first pad, which sounds like this. So this is just playing one note, it's just playing E, and what's happening here is we just have this FM sound, which you can see is just 3 sine waves here. We've got them all at different octaves, or excuse me, the first 2 are at the same octave. But we've got them all kind of like pitched up like this, and then we've got the fine tune turned up on the second one a little as well, to give it a little bit of detune. And yeah, and then we just have a little bit of an LFO on the pitch. You can see this is only at 3.3%, so it's very subtle. Here's without it, and then with it. So you can hear it's not doing too much, it's just giving it that little sort of like pitch warble to kind of give it some movement over time in the track. And yeah, then after that we just have a bit of chorus. There's without that. And with it, kind of makes this a bit more like smooth, as you can hear. Then we have a bit of reverb, just giving it a bit of space. And then finally, I just have this compressor, which is actually sidechaining this to the dry kick, because you can see we have pre-effects here, so it's just being sidechained to this, rather than sidechaining it to the whole rumble kick. And yeah, after that we have the second pad, which sounds like this. So this one's kind of layered in with that first one. You can hear we get like some nice overtones. And it's just adding that sort of like cold pad in the background. So this one is also just playing E. And then with this one it's made using analog. And what we've got here is 2 saw waves. Get them detuned a little bit, and then those are going into a formant filter here. So if you don't know what a formant filter is, essentially a formant, think of it like a vowel sound. Like a formant would be like A, E, I, O, U, these kinds of sounds. A formant filter is essentially shaping the sound the same way your mouth would be shaping it, like doing that sort of, like saying that sound. So like when I go A, I'm shaping my mouth in a very particular way. When I go oh, I'm shaping my mouth in a very particular way. this is what the Foreman filter is doing, but it's like with saw waves. So you get a very interesting sound this way. And yeah, you can see what you're able to do. You also have a little bit of noise going into that. And then we just have a very slight amount of an LFO on that. So here's without that. And then with it. You can hear it's really subtle, but it's just giving that filter frequency a little bit of movement on the Foreman filter. And yeah, and then we just have a bit of vibrato. You can see the vibrato is pretty fast. And then we've got a bit of unison as well. And then that's it for inside the synth. So again, just a little bit of a different way of approaching making a drone like this. And yeah, then we actually have the exact same processing as the first pad. You can see we get that same chorus, same reverb, and then same side chain to the dry kick. And yeah, that is it for the second pad. After that, we have the noises, which sound like this. So what we have here is we have 3 different noise samples. We've got this one. I'll just play them on their own in the track. This one. This one. And then this one. So kind of 3 very different noises. You know, this one's more in the high end. This one's more in the mid-range. And then this one's more like adding the sort of like crackly, kind of crispy textures on top of everything. And then what's happening is we've got these in a group being saturated together, and then I've also got a high pass filter on these. So these are pretty important. One thing I was noticing when I was putting my tracks up against SNTS's tracks and trying to understand the style is to really get the atmosphere that you need with this style, you have to have these noises in the background. Like if you don't have these, I'll show you. So here's the track with them in there. You hear that crispy texture? Here's the track without them. You can hear it's really missing something, and then when I bring that in, it fills it out. So yeah, these are really important, and I definitely recommend layering them like this, like putting together 3 different noises. As long as they're all 3 doing something different, again, you can really hear the space between these. It can really work well in terms of just adding that like dense fullness in the noise in these style of tracks. So the saturation I've got here is basically I've got this wave shaper on. So here's without the saturation. And then with it, so you can hear it really kind of crunches these 3 layers together. It's a good way to kind of glue them together and kind of just turn it into one noise. It's just using this wave shaper on the saturator here. So you can hear if we just do the saturation without that, they're not as like crunched together like that. Versus when you use it, it makes them all come off as one. And then after that, we just have a high pass filter. Here's without this. And then with it, so you can hear why we have this, you know, it's pretty essential, like, to just kind of cut out all that little stuff that you get sitting under the noise. And yeah, that is it for the noises. After that, we have the hi-hats, which sound like this. So what we got here is we have 3 hi-hats. We have this one, just playing straight 16th notes. We have this one playing on the upbeats, which you can see this is 2 layers. We have this high layer, and then this one, which is more like just giving us that hit. And then we have this one, which is playing like this. It's just playing straight 8th notes, but then it's on every other 16th note, so that we get that kind of playing off of. Like adding in this one adds a lot of energy. And then we have those in a group together with a little bit of processing. So the first thing here is we have a bit of reverb, which you can hear, this is pretty heavy reverb, especially for hi-hats, but with this style, I think it works really well to just add some atmosphere to the track. If we turn this off, you can hear they don't sit quite as well in the mix. So just adding that atmosphere. Then we have a bit of drum bus. This just glues these together. Here's without it. And then with it, so you can hear a pretty strong difference there. Again, this is just gluing these together, you know, making everything hit a bit more. And then finally, we just have a high-pass filter cutting out the low end, and that is it for the hi-hats. We also have those going into the send here. So we have a few different things going into the send. I'll be talking about that in a moment once we get down there. But yeah, that's it for the hi-hats. After that, we have the percussion, which sounds like this. So what's happening here is we have 3 different hits. We have this one, which you can see, this one's got a bit of echo, and you can hear that as well. And it's also got a bit of saturation. We have this one, which hits very sparsely. And this one's just got a bit of reverb and a bit of drum bus, as well as being bandpassed. Here's the original sound. And then the bandpass filter just takes it and makes it like that psh that you hear, and then the reverb and the drum bus. And then the last percussion sound is this one, which just plays there, kind of playing off of that first one. And yeah, and then we have those in a group as well. So with these, we just have a little bit of reverb, bit of drum bus, and a bit of a high pass. Actually pretty similar to the hi-hats, but the reason why I put these in a separate group is because these are completely different sounds, and we want to process them a bit differently. So the first thing here is the reverb. Here's without this. And then with it, this one's pretty much the same deal as the hi-hats, where it's like, you know, this is a lot of reverb for some percussion, but if we turn it off, these don't fit into the track nearly as well. So yeah, it just really helps with the atmosphere. After that, we have this drum bus. Here's without this. And then with it. So you can hear, you know, just really making all the percussion a lot fatter and making it hit a little bit more. And then finally, we just have this high pass filter. Here's without this. And then with it, you know, just cuts out the low end, you know, make sure that it's really clean and simple. And yeah, and then the last layer that we have here is this delay send. So what this is doing is basically, you can see we have these different things going into it. We have the percussion, we have the hi-hats, and then we have the kick. And what's happening is these are all going into these 2 different delays here. You can see we have dotted 8th notes, and then we have 8th notes. And these are just playing off of each other, and then you get like this sort of percussion loop in the background. So this is a really cool way to create some extra percussion. I'll show you the track, like, with it, and then without it. With it, without it. So you can hear, like, it just has that extra little detail layer, I feel like, of percussion in the background, without actually adding a new layer. Like, this is a good way to add more stuff with the same elements that you already have, because this way, you know, we don't have everything like fighting with some new percussion loop. This just kind of fits in with what's already happening. So the way you do this is, like I said, it's just the 2 delays playing off of each other. I've got dotted 8th notes going into 8th notes. So you get some cool rhythms from that. And then I just have a drum bus on there to fatten this up. And then I also have this compressor. So this is what this side chain down here is. What this is, as you can see, it's just a kick sample. And then I've shortened it a bunch. So we literally just get like that transient right at the start. And then this thing's being muted. And then this is what's driving the side chain for this. And so the reason why I do this is because if we turn the side chain off, you notice how we're getting a kick in there now? What ends up happening is that starts to clash with the main kick. And I find it to be a bit messy in the mix. But if you do this little side chain like this, now we're just getting the main kick, but we still get that whole percussion loop. And yeah, it's just like a little detail in terms of cleaning it up. But yeah, so that's me for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe, and let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get the full project file and samples and MIDI and presets. All that stuff from this video is available right at the top of the description, and if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there because it's already available. If you guys want to support me, this is a great way to do it. And yeah, thank you so much, guys, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.